This game, just as well as my videos, cover mature themes. I am an adult and hopefully my viewers are adults too. Hello everyone, this video will be a bit different from the previous lore videos. As you may know, there was an interview with Nikita, the creator of Hello Neighbor, and this video is a subjective reaction video to that interview. I try to collect a lot of stuff that is connected to the lore of the games. However, I recommend watching the entire video because due to time, this video is edited. I want to say that my previous video, the Hello Neighbor 2 Alpha's storyline video, was recorded and mainly written way before the interview was even at the horizon. By the time I finished editing the video, the interview was obviously released, and turns out my research video was absolutely correct when it comes to key elements of the story, and so were my other lore videos, as you will see later. I will only react on a few things, you will see why, and I put timestamps to the description like always.
Original story for Hello Neighbor was actually different, like for the most of development. Initially, it was this story about parenting and stuff. Neighbor was your parent, he was traumatized by the neighbor, so you move into the neighbor's house, and then when you go to sleep, there's like neighbor appears and you're outside, and that's why there was an image when there's like a kid with a neighbor like standing, this like thing which then became fear. It was initially some sort of like representation of bad parenting over the generations of like families. He was tormented by like his parents, and they are by their parents. Go into his back, there was like his burden, and then you fight this entity. There was like child neighbor, and you protect your own parent from this thing. In the end, neighbor was like waving, you kind of accepted him. What was like scrapped ending when you like finally you're in the, it's not the basement, it's just old like storage room, and you see like through the photos of your like those toys from your childhood, all the resentment that you had towards your parents, you just released it, and in the final frames you just go on the street to the like graveyard because the parents are already dead. This was like the initial idea.
So this is the one that I called the family storyline in my video title, and it's probably my favorite storyline next to the Faust one because it has a very mature approach and a very deep message that should be discussed to this day. Nikita is ahead of time in many topics. See the discussion of generational trauma, or basically the horror, which is really colorful and happy on the surface and really dark on the inside, or the backroom vibes that the Hello Gas prototype test map had, which may have been a coincidence, but after that the backrooms became a huge thing. I could go through each build of Hello Neighbor, and I would probably find something that appeared way before the mainstream put its hand on the topic.
At some point there was like discussion, okay, this is too niche, we have to do something.
Okay, so somebody in this franchise keeps scrapping the best ideas that could make Hello Neighbor a pioneer and not the follower of trends. And it keeps happening, like it happened multiple times. Nikita comes up with something amazing, a very good concept that is unique and has a huge chance to be successful and create a trend. And then it gets scrapped and it goes to trash, basically. And something, how to say nicely, less good replaces it. People loved the old storylines of Hello Neighbor. Just look at the comments under my lore videos. I'm not entirely sure that the loudly yelling people are the majority of the fandom. They are just loud.
The original Hello Neighbor, this was a little bit out of my control. What's inside the basement should be something greater than just your memories. The people are anticipated for so long. It should be something like super intense. 50% of the game was already done. Basically, like Act 3 was almost finished, and the final battles or whatever. And I was given like short text depicting the story of the neighbor and his children. I don't remember where this like text came from. And now I have to repurpose all what was already done just to fit this story. And that's why I changed. It was like not about parenting, it's about just general like trauma that you can have and how it affects your life.
The thing is, people have always been complaining about the basement. I found videos of YouTubers and Steam posts from 2016 where they are complaining about the basement and what's in the basement and what isn't in the basement. So it's a thing since pre-alpha. Like at this point, if you look around, just nothing is good for people anymore. And everybody prefers different secrets in the basement. I will personally always stand by the fact that this basement and the Faust storyline's basement had the best ideas because it wasn't physical, but it was symbolical, and Hello Neighbor is very symbolical to this day when it comes to stuff that Nikita made. And if you look around, not just in the Hello Neighbor community, but in other fandoms as well, there's a lot of people that just complain about everything. Like they are looking for excuses to complain about things that don't even matter. And I know it's easier said than done, but as a creator, especially if you are a famous creator, you have two options. Either try to please everybody, which will just not work out in the end, or just go the original way you planned it, and eventually you will have a truly appreciating circle around yourself, maybe not as big, but very faithful, and they will truly appreciate you instead of complaining or trash talking you behind your back and such. Okay, so one more thing to throw out to the void, I guess. According to years of research, back in the day, around the release of the final version of Hello Neighbor, this community was filled with people who could relate to the characters, who felt empathy for the characters. Back then, the fandom was full of people who were through some kind of trauma, so it definitely lured them in with the story. And if you look at the community past 2020, it's now full of people who give the trauma. Obviously not generalizing, it's just certain people, but there are quite a few people who fall into this category. The originals who were like the traumatized category of the fandom, they all left. And yes, I know that basically every fandom past 2020 is suffering from this problem, but still it's shocking to see that even a game with such a mature message like Hello Neighbor is suffering from this. It's just very sad to see it.
I had a lot of freedom and it was also quite hard, but in a different way. And there was a lot of personal stuff in this game, and it was the first time I created the music in a way. The game didn't have soundtrack, and closer to the end of the game I said like I locked myself in the room and like spent 2 weeks or something just creating soundtrack for hide and seek. Like I have these sweet memories about this times.
Hide and Seek would be worth a video, both symbol and color-wise, because it's absolutely fantastic. I was so fascinated while I was playing it. It's actually incredible.
Did you also compose the chase musics from the very early alphas of Hello Neighbor?
No, I bought them at Sound Snap or something.
I just saw the community going nuts over the Alpha 1.5 build, so that was a bit curious.
Yeah, I also saw a lot of comments about it, and I'm trying to remember if it's like actual thing or it's something that the community made up, because there's a lot of stuff that I look and I'm like, okay, is it like real or it's just someone created it and now everyone thinks it's real?
This is why I'm trying to make lore videos that have as little amount of theories as possible and as much facts and research as possible, because I want them to be objective. As it said in the interview, people started calling this video the Alpha 1.5 build. It was a transition between the styles and probably the storylines. It was probably made as a test video for the developers, not for the public. And some things in the Hello Neighbor community stick to certain things. For example, there's this mansion which is called the Grey Manor by people, but that's also a fan-made name. Or Mart or Mr. Wilson in the early days for the neighbor, which was a name given by some YouTuber. Or the fact that the neighbor used to be called a gay man because of the painting on the wall. Like this was also started by the YouTubers who were kind of role-playing with the neighbor. I absolutely love the early gameplay videos.
It was also a surprise to me that the game became like, popular with kids. Like I thought that people who would play the game would be my age-ish, the idea of the game that I had in my head. But turned out that like younger generation liked the game more.
Okay, so here Nikita says a longer personal theory about why he thinks that a lot of kids play Hello Neighbor instead of people playing with it who are his age, despite it's a mature game with mature themes, objectively. He says that maybe it's because fragments of his child self, who always wanted to make a game as a child, can be found in Hello Neighbor, so it's resonating with the children as well. My personal theory is a bit different from this. I think maybe perhaps it's because a lot of kids watch YouTubers to this day, YouTubers who are our age, and they are trying horror games and other games, and obviously the kids want to try it themselves, so they get into it, and maybe they look cool in the school by saying that they are into horror games. I don't know. I was never at this point. That could be another theory, but like, in my opinion, Hello Neighbor shouldn't be targeted at children, and I am dying on this hill no matter what.
And one single programmer did all the AI for Hello Neighbor. And at some point, I do not know what happened exactly, but he was like, okay, we have to let go of this programmer. And there was other programmer that was working with on different stuff, and he was now replacing this guy. And this guy explained to this programmer how AI, how code-based work for architecture. But then it's either was pretty rough and hard to work with, or there's a lot of something that new programmer had to remake from scratch, basically. And that's why at some point the AI was all different, because it was practically rewritten from scratch.
This suddenly makes a lot of sense. It's good to know this. Shout out to the person who made the original AI. I enjoyed the pre-alpha gameplay so much, and a lot of people complain about the AI since it's the selling point of Hello Neighbor. They advertised it with the AI itself. Yes, it's objectively a fact that the AI isn't as smart as it used to be, but there's a lot of stuff which are the reasons that the AI cannot function the way it should function. But I have to say that the AI itself isn't garbage either. In a different environment, the AI works really well. I once tested the AI. We were running around the house. AI didn't lose me for over 7 minutes. And after that, he caught me. And I know that I treat the neighbor differently from an average person, but also with Hello Neighbor 2, which was actually a whole different game from the alphas. I'm on the side of, if you dislike something so much that you are only angry at it and all you can do is be negative about it and list its flaws, I would say that you should look for something that you like and abandon the other thing that you don't like. With Hello Neighbor, I knew what I was getting into because I was watching gameplay videos way before I got to try it. And my expectations towards other people, mainly people who I know that this is the first game of, I didn't have my expectations up in the sky. To me, Hello Neighbor is still enjoyable to this day, the way it is. Maybe it's not said enough times. Hello Neighbor is pretty much enjoyable, mainly sandbox-wise, when you are just messing around with the neighbor's AI and just playing, not the gameplay itself, but just playing around.
I feel like in pre-alpha and alpha 1 they aren't annoying, they are just difficult, and in the full game they are annoying. There's this one wall with 10 cameras on them looking at that one particular spot, and then go turn off the breaker or turn off the cameras, then you get caught, do it all again.
That's actually a great point. In the full game, I have a save where I'm collecting the cameras and the bear traps and the buckets, and I already have a very nice collection. It started lagging the game. I want to know how many stuff can he spawn. It's some kind of entertainment after all.
I look at Hello Neighbor more like this whole experience of all the alphas and all this exploring this lore and with community. This whole, I don't know, it was like a year or so. In my head, this is whole experience is Hello Neighbor rather than just like final game.
I actually kept quoting Nikita on this multiple times, but people didn't believe me. Maybe they will now.
I think about frustration of Alpha 3 is generally because it's dark and it's so hard to find flashlight, which makes this game almost unplayable. It was my mistake because I thought in a previous build, people found like test room, rectangular building, and was like random stuff in there. And due to its nature, it was just pitch black, and people like exploring this pitch black mansion, and there was a lot of videos about it, and it was engaging for some reason to people. And I thought, okay, maybe I can make whole Act 3 like that.
I really hope this small tutorial helped you. I played Hello Neighbor 2 alphas on 5 FPS, 7 FPS if the PC was in a good mood. I'm seriously not picky. I don't get angry unless the game expects too much from the PC and it just straight up doesn't run. I just want the game to run.
A lot of people discovered that there were scrapped achievements for Hello Neighbor.
I think that they might be scrapped as the story was changed.
Yeah, this was scrapped due to the family storyline being scrapped.
You are even an adult Nicky in those like Act 1, Act 2. You are adult Nicky in those nightmare sequences.
It was intentional to change the adult Nicky because it was idea that as a grown-up he figured out whole neighbor story, like what happened to him, not as a child. That's why all this like basically visions. That's when he get all this information. Because as a kid he get traumatized and didn't know what happened, but he grew up, he figured it out.
Okay, this is a very smart detail and I'm glad it was addressed. Adult Nicky experiences the whole story. It just shows that to overcome his trauma, he had to learn about the whole story of the neighbor. Nicky first didn't understand why he was kept in the basement for seeing what he saw in the basement. As an adult, he learned the neighbor's story. Nicky was originally very empathetic and very smart and mature. That's why I like the game Nicky much more than any other Nicky. This is one of the reasons why I'm still into Hello Neighbor and the story, because Nikita just comes in, hands over the missing puzzle piece, and voila, the story makes sense. Like Hello Neighbor actually makes sense. All of the storylines that he created. And that's why I wanted in Hello Neighbor 3 for Nicky and Theodore to meet, because after settling their differences, they could realize that they have a lot in common and they could get along well as adults. But so far we have no adult Nicky in Hello Neighbor 3, so this most likely won't happen. So I wrote a fanfiction about it to make everybody even sadder that this is yet another missed opportunity.
It all came from this my love to finding bugs in games, and I could spend like hours trying to clip through a wall or something, and when I finally do it, what I wanted to like original Hello Neighbor to be this feeling of like breaking the game, that you tricked the designers and happened to be like in a room where you're not supposed to be. The game should have been built the way that if you do this, you cannot break it. The game is like fair. You can like if you do this, the game still goes on. But it's not exactly how it turned out to be.
I really like that Hello Neighbor has fourth wall breaking in the canon. I like the detail that the neighbor was aware of him being in a game and he wanted to escape. And the whole error world was a very smart addition outside of the current plot. I wish they just carried this on to Hello Neighbor 2, because it could have been a nice addition like it was in the first game. Having a base plot that AI has to partake in like an actor. But in the end of the day, he just wanted to escape from the whole game and he didn't want to be part of this whole plot ever again. It could have been a very unique addition.
Was the original game going to be more mature? Its early concepts had the neighbor swearing and the possession of sex dolls.
Yeah, it was just a joke that what the artist drew on the concept. I don't think that it was like supposed to be in the game, like really supposed to be in the game. I thought about like people of my age playing that game, and back then I was like 26 or something. But then thing is, like, how about removing swearing, because it doesn't bring anything to the game, but it raises its like age restriction significantly. There was like neighbor going to toilet, which also was removed because it also was increasing in the rating for the game. Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, I cut it short. Here, Mega has mentioned a lot of fan games where they just included the neighbors swearing again. And I think it's a nice addition to his character. For example, in the family storyline, it could have been part of the player's memories. And this makes the neighbor more threatening to remember. In my fanfictions, ever since my first fanfiction, the neighbor is swearing like hell, already starting with teenhood, because, for example, he heard it from his father or family and he's swearing as well, and maybe his son will swear as well. So like it can go on through generations and add to the generational trauma perhaps. It was a unique addition, kind of gave me like GTA vibes. I understand why it was removed. I don't understand the toilet and I don't understand the other things that got removed and censored. Obviously it's not against Nikita, it's against the age rating of the West. I just don't understand why so many things have to be censored that are natural and part of life. I will never understand it. I don't want to be alive when you open up a game and it's just characters T-posing on the map, because everything else is so censored that they technically can do anything, despite, for example, it's a horror game or it's a game that's supposed to be shocking and scaring you and making you think about mature topics. And this is a hot take in the current economy, but I think family-friendly horror shouldn't exist.
It was still story about the character being like a near-death experience, and that's why it was so surreal. Like there was like grave on the first floor. Player have this, the character have this roller coaster of memories and they had in life.
Okay, it's time to yap about Faust, a 500 pages long book that I read only because of Hello Neighbor. Who would have thought that reading a book that Nikita recommended for Hello Neighbor would answer Hello Neighbor related questions, huh? Mind you, in this case, the neighbor, aka Satan, ready to take the player's soul, who could have been Faust, but I think he wasn't. I don't think he sold his soul to the neighbor. I think he was just dying or something. If you read Faust, the story of Hello Neighbor, like the Faust storyline, just puts itself together.
There was multiple images of the neighbor. He is like the devil, and that's why he took like some sort of devilish like shapes on different art, being this clown who was almost like the devil, and then being actually the like devil in a costume. And I think there was something else, but I don't remember how exactly it turned out to be this way. Yeah, I think it was something with the devil, but I don't remember.
This is yet another Faust exclusive information, but I think what was going on here was that the neighbor was shapeshifting into different characters. In Faust, the devil can shapeshift. That's how he finds Faust. Nikita will mention the wackiness in Hello Neighbor, which was a key element. I just hope they will eventually bring it back. I think Hello Guest was the last game where I actually felt the wackiness.
Me not knowing exactly how to focus the project into like a single vision, so everything we do will only bring us closer to the idea that we're trying to achieve. This is one of the examples when this definitely has this feeling, crazy, wacky feeling. He definitely looks like Max Payne-ish, kind of like almost like welding two guns, and that's why we wanted to like show this idea that you can use every item in the game, like the AI can use them, you can use them.
Yes.
Alpha 2, more free, like the characters supposed to walk, kind of Hello Neighbor 3-ish what we're doing, but in a different sense. But yeah, it was supposed to be expanded on the idea. The game was never finished. I cannot say a lot because some parts of the story, it's not that they will be reused, but still, the neighbor was supposed to be the the guest. That's why we had this like guest neighbor, and he was hiding in a park with his son because they escaped after Nicky ran away. And this is like one part. And the other part is that there was this meteor station, like weather station. It was like inside abandoned park, and it was also abandoned, and no one knew where is it. This guy, like Hetman, he bought this abandoned park, and he wanted to find this meteor station. I think he either hired Beatrix and Quentin just to protect from vandals because they like ruining park, but he needed this weather station to find it, or he wanted to guards to find it eventually, but because he was like scared of the guest or something. I don't, but it's something along those lines. But it's all I can say about this.
Smith being rich just got confirmed. The boss AU got confirmed. The voice that you hear on the phone during the tutorial section is Smith's voice. It's so good that things are finally getting confirmed. Oh my god. I have the script written already for the video. I might include these informations to make it more accurate.
I called the character guest, and the guest, like the person who comes to you. So it's kind of reversed. That's why it was the guest, and he comes to you instead of you coming to him. In alphas, the guest was its own character.
In Hello Neighbor 2 alphas, it was not the neighbor. It's kind of obvious. The guest's mouth is always open in Hello Guest because the neighbor is looking through the beak. But in Hello Neighbor 2 alpha 1 and forward, the guest has a closed mouth, meaning that he can see without having it open, so his eyes aren't in the mouth.
That time the story was that the Quentin, he's like journalist and like chasing this fictional stuff instead of like real ones. In his head, he basically goes into some sort of like twisted version of Ravenbrooks, where the house of the neighbor, which is like a local sensation, is actually like occupied by the guest, like in his head. And the idea was that initially there was like two Ravenbrooks, and the like the real ones and the fictional one, and the Quentin goes into fictional one, trying to solve stuff there, and then also can go into like real one. But there was like different. It was slightly changed over time into different story about the neighbor. The crow child was the neighbor. And these kids was like neighbors' friends initially. They somehow like died in the accident on like weather station due to neighbor's fault, and it was like something that he was tormented by. He's like locked up because it was door of the meteo station, and he's supposed to like open it to let the children in. It was like hurricane or something, but he was scared and they died. Something like, I don't remember exactly how kids said they trick-or-treating because they disappeared, and that's why when the guest catches them, the guest represents this like weather thing. That's why it asks like how's the weather in the end of this alpha 1.5. It's basically he was researching what happened and was so invested in it, he basically kind of transported into his like mental picture. And this is how like a guest world. It's basically like Quentin's way of figuring stuff out. And there was like knocking on the door, like how's the weather? Is it guest or is it the neighbor or is it man in the hat or whatever? Because man in the hat was having like different role, but I already don't remember. It was so much, and we changed stories so many times.
The weather station being a traumatic place for a neighbor is a brutal plot element. And basically my video on the Hello Neighbor 2 alpha story was confirmed. I would have never guessed that it's the Mayak door that we see on the attic.
I don't exactly remember. I believe it's somehow tied into like Man in the Hat, because I believe it's him like portraying the neighbor or something. No, I don't. I don't remember.
In the video, they talk about the concept arts that we know about Hello Neighbor 2 alphas, and Nikita mentions that these were like explorations to find their art style, just like in the original Hello Neighbor's early concept arts. Also, can we talk about how underrated Elena is as an artist, because she pretty much carried a lot on her shoulders when it comes to Hello Neighbor. She is one of the original creators, and she's got so many beautiful artworks. It's just amazing how much she added to this whole universe, which now we call Hello Neighbor. If I put the neighbor between 1000 characters, you would still immediately spot him because of how he looks and what colors does he wear.
Hello Neighbor 2 was a huge project. Was it bigger than Hello Neighbor 1, would you say?
Yeah, of course, much bigger. Hello Neighbor 1 is just 5 people doing stuff. A sketch that I did when we were looking for key art for Hello Neighbor 2. You are like in a trunk of the neighbor's car. The neighbor looking over you as you like lying in a car. It was somewhere in between Alpha 1.5 and Alpha 2.
What was the idea of the Thunderstorm?
It definitely was connected to a weather station, and this Thunderstorm was even in the late night shift, but it played a different role. But before that, they were just strangers in light nature.
I think that there were already theories that they were siblings, even like during the Hello Guest time, so kind of a small prediction, or who knows.
Like he's supposed to look over the head of the characters, and he's like has like huge body, but in the final game he's like just normal size.
So it means that neighbor was either 2 meters tall or the guards were tiny. Okay, so this is pretty much I wanted to react to. Due to time, Hello Neighbor 3 is in early development, so I kinda left it out. As always, I'm working on videos like the Hello Guest video about the books. I'm planning to redo the Neighbor video because I find it too long and not well edited. Thank you so much for watching and see you guys soon.